Hello, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, and cross watchers. This is your tarot and oracle reading for the month of August 2024. Let's dive into it. You have the High Priestess coming out in reverse as your major arcana card that represents this month. And this is a lot of hidden truths, things that you might not be seeing currently, or I like to view the High Priestess as reverse as you can see these things, but sometimes what your ego wants outweighs what your intuition is trying to say to you. And so you might just sort of like sweep away what your intuition's trying to say or ignore a very vital truth in your life. And so I'm just going to be honest with you. When the High Priestess comes out in reverse, to me, it really shows some pretty big signs about certain people in your life or certain things going on around you that are trying to communicate something and you're kind of ignoring it. So a lot of like your emotions this month, maybe going towards that person, that relationship, that thing that you're sort of like ignoring the signs. Because when you ignore your intuition, and by the way, I'm not trying to blame you for this. I do this all the time myself. Maybe not as much anymore, but like I did this for so many years where my intuition would of course tell me things. I would literally do tarot readings on my own life. And sometimes you just ignore what the tarot readings say. You ignore what your intuition says. I feel like we all do this. We're all a little guilty of this. Even if you are like the world's most connected, resound, psychic medium on the entire planet, you can still do a reading for yourself, get messages from your spirit guides, your intuition, and just be like, meh, ignore. You know, we're all guilty of this at some point in our life. But anyways, when we ignore that intuition, it does sort of create a lot of emotional confusion within us. So if you're confused emotionally about how to handle a certain relationship in your life or a certain situation in your life, that emotional confusion is usually a key sign that you are ignoring your intuition when it comes to that predicament. Okay, for example, let's just say you're really confused about whether or not somebody you're dating or in a relationship with is good for you. Would I be better off with them or without them? I don't know. Usually that emotional confusion is because you keep listening to what your ego wants, like what you really want from the situation, and you're ignoring what your intuition is trying to tell you. You know, for example, that person might have a lot of red flags. They might not be ready for a relationship. They might be a little bit emotionally avoidant. And you want so desperately for the good that you see in them to be the truth of the situation. You want them to grow into that person more permanently, and you're holding out hope for that. But in the process of doing that, you're ignoring all of the things they're doing in the present moment, all of the signs that are right here, and your own intuitive nudges to maybe not be with this person. That's just an example. I'm not saying that's what you're exactly going through. I'm sure some of you watching may actually be going through that exact scenario, but that's just an example of how this can sort of play out. Okay, your overall spiritual theme this month, you have the mystical shaman coming out in reverse, which I gotta say is mighty similar to the High Priestess coming out in reverse, because the High Priestess, the shaman, they're basically one and the same. You know, these are two people who operate on the bridge between spirit and physical. These are two people who have access to the higher worlds and the lower worlds, and they dance between these worlds, these realms, to deliver messages back and forth, communicate, do healings, things like that. So having both of these souls, both of these spirits and archetypes come out in your reading in reverse, you know, there could be some inherent ignoring of your own psychic messages. Another thing that I'm seeing for Sagittarius, and this might not resonate with you personally, but I feel like there is a pretty big awakening happening in August for maybe some younger, or I guess that age doesn't matter, some people, some Sagittarius folks who are being like initiated shamanically, I guess you could say. A lot of Sagittarius people may be having really crazy, incredible experiences, both frightening and like exhilarating experiences that are shifting them onto a more spiritual shamanic path. And so that may not be happening for you personally, But you might see this in some of your Sagittarius friends, or family or people like that. Not all Sagittariuses, but like I really do feel this huge wave of Sagittarius energy people being initiated into this more like spiritual life. And they may be having things like intense, vivid dreaming, paranormal experiences, just having their intuition always be accurate when it comes to the vibes they catch from different people in their life, things like that, or like thinking something and then it happens. There's so many, I could go off on the hundreds of signs of psychic abilities, mediumship, and things like that. But if any of these things are happening to you and you haven't become fully consciously aware of how to like control these abilities, I mean, you could be one of these people that I'm talking about. And accepting this path and learning everything you can about it is always going to be my recommendation. I think back to when I was around 18 years old and how terrifying it was, because I had like a mediumship sort of awakening, like a shamanic awakening after like an initiative experience that I'm not going to go into detail about. It was unintentional, it wasn't planned, and I did not have anyone to guide me because I did not grow up in a culture that was connected to nature, connected to people like high priestesses, seers, shamans, anything like that. So it's really terrifying to go through by yourself, and unfortunately a lot of people have to go through it by themselves. That's just because society, the large portion of society in 2024 is disconnected from that sort of energy. And it was terrifying for me. So my heart goes out to a lot of Sagittarius energy people because, especially when you're in the very beginning stages of having these massive awakenings, I feel like you're more vulnerable to negative entities and energies trying to come towards you. And it's really, really important. I don't care where you're at in the journey, what your story is. This goes out to every single Sagittarius this month. It is so important for you to have healthy boundaries. Okay? If you have people in your life, for example, who are trying to take advantage of your kindness, and they're not a good friend, they're not a good partner, they're not a good boss, or whatever, it is so important to say enough is enough. Even though I see the light in you, even though I see the soul in you, and all of the good that is you, I'm choosing to pay attention to how you are acting and how you are treating me and others in this present moment. And I am going to make my decisions and set my boundaries off of that present moment version, as opposed to the highest version of you that I have access to. This is something that I wish somebody told me when I was young, because when you are on a shamanic path, living on a very spiritual path as the priestess, the shaman, the healer, the seer, whatever, which all of you watching are. I don't care. I don't care if you're an accountant. I don't care if you're a school teacher. Like, you are watching this video for a reason. What I wish someone had told me in the beginning of my journey was that if you are somebody who can love anybody on this planet, like you could see the good in anyone and everyone, you could see everyone's potential. And frequently you find yourself in a position where the people you date, your friends, your family, whatever, you know exactly what they need to do in order to heal or solve a lot of their life issues, or like you see their fullest potential. Your ability to visualize that and see that is a psychic ability. And you might not be aware of this if you've been like this your whole life. Okay? But your ability to see the highest potential in people, see the good in people, the light in people, that is a psychic ability. Okay? What you're seeing is their true soul beneath all of the social conditioning, societal conditionings, trauma, whatever, all of that junk that's layered on top of our natural aura. You can see past that junk right into people. All right? Psychic ability. What you're seeing is their true spirit, their true essence. And I've seen so many people who have had a spiritual awakening make this mistake along the journey, where because they can see that, they do not hold people accountable for the actions that they choose to take in the present moment, and then they let people accidentally sort of like walk all over them because it's like, it's okay, it's fine. And because they're holding out hope that they can either change this person or show them the way, or they'll grow into that version. But the reality is, who people choose to show up as in the present moment, the words they choose, the actions they choose, whatever, that is their choice. They are choosing that with their own free will. And yes, a lot of those choices may be tied into trauma, pain, suffering, which you could probably also pick up on from people. And you may use that to justify why you're still going to keep them in your life and why you're still going to, hold out hope for them, whatever. Stop doing that. Just stop doing that. Have boundaries and say, you know what? This is how you're acting in the present moment. Bye. Goodbye. It is not your job to heal or fix anybody. Okay? If you have these natural abilities and you want to use them for good professionally, use it in a professional setting. Okay? Do not try to heal or change the people in your personal circle. Okay? They show up as they want to show up, based off of their free will. And when you start ignoring your intuition's nudges to maybe not stay connected to somebody, or maybe distance yourself from somebody, it starts creating emotional confusion. And then you can't tell the difference between what is anxiety versus what is my intuition. And then it becomes cloudy. And you feel like you don't know which decision to make. And the reason that happens is because you're ignoring your intuition. And you're choosing what you want to hear. And I know it's difficult to say, you know what, the best way forward is to do the thing I don't want to do. But sometimes that is the best answer and will solve 99% of your problems. So this doesn't have to apply to relationships either. This could apply to anywhere in life. Maybe you're in a job that just the company really, really sucks. And there's so many signs around you that it sucks, that it's not good, that a job is not for you, but you really want it to work. You just really, really want it to work. So you keep ignoring these signs. There's so many different ways that this can manifest. Anyways, the message coming from your spirit guides this month is just ask. And look at that, someone reaching out and asking for help and assistance from all of these beautiful spirits. And it says this: there are many here in the spirit world that can assist you at this time. Keep in mind, everything that you can imagine in your brain and interact with has a spirit. You have a spirit, I have a spirit, plants, trees, your ancestors, angels, deities, God, everything has a spirit. The spirit world is perpendicular to the physical world and tethered to it. So there's so many different spirits that you can connect to and ask for assistance from. For example, if you find that dogs are always happy and you need a little bit more happiness in your life, you can call upon the spirit of dog. Or you can get more specific, the spirit of golden retriever, and ask for assistance in being joyous and happy. If you want to gain a greater perspective on your life and see things clearly for what they are, you might want to call in an eagle spirit or a hawk spirit or an owl spirit, because those birds of prey have excellent vision. They're better at seeing things from the bird's eye view, seeing everything for what it is. If you want to gain assistance in money and wealth, you might want to call upon a certain deity from whichever culture that is known to help with that. You know what I mean? If you want to feel loved and supported and hugged, you might want to call upon your ancestors. There are so many different spirits that can help you. There are so many spirits in the spirit world that can assist you at this time. We are made up of the divine source, your loved ones, friends, guides, angels, and spirit helpers who are wanting to assist you. We are your spiritual team, and all you have to do is ask for our help and support and guidance. Absolutely. And I feel like there's a reason that this is coming out. Actually, this same exact card came out for me when I was, still having a lot of spiritual awakening moments. And, people who are on the shamanic path, people who are connected and tied to the spirit world, you don't necessarily need a guru. You don't need somebody physical to teach you this, because spirit itself, the spiritual realms themselves, are your teacher. And they want you to form a relationship with them. So I feel for a lot of Sagittarius is watching right now. You guys are mediums, straight up. You guys are mediums, or you're having some sort of mediumship psychic awakening. This could have been triggered by something or just came randomly. You know, if any of you had a near-death experience recently, a big wake-up call, or some sort of big shift or change in your life, you know, even if you haven't, you know, I just feel like this has happened for you, and now you're here. So let's see what else comes out. We're gonna pull 6 cards, 2 rows of 3 from the Murder of Crows tarot. We have the 4 of Cups. Okay, and I don't know why I'm seeing this as like this crow watching over you, like a spirit watching over you, protecting you, trying to make sure that you're protected, that you're safe. The 4 of Cups also shows a sort of dissatisfaction with something that you're doing. You're just not getting the pleasure that you maybe once received. You just might not be, I don't know, there could be something that isn't giving you happiness right now, but you're sitting there in that feeling instead of sort of moving along. 8 of Swords, exactly. See, I feel like you're kind of keeping yourself stuck here by not listening to your intuition. So I'm not going to go off on that whole tangent again, but I think you get the point. Whew. We have the Sun coming out in reverse. There is a lot of happiness that's available to you. And I feel like the predicaments that you find yourself in, like there's a better way of doing things that can really, really alleviate some of the challenges or problems that you have in your life right now. But again, it goes back to listening to that intuition, even if it is asking you to do something that you don't necessarily want to do. We have the 9 of Pentacles. This is a really great omen, guys. This is business success. If any of you have your own business or you're a freelancer, salesperson, anything like that, we see success there. Happiness, you can afford luxuries, things that you don't need. You know, it's beyond survival. This is now art, luxury, hobbies that you're investing in. Your appearance, you know, you're able to invest in things that are fun, not just necessary. So I love that for you. And this also shows that in August, you will be connecting to your personal hobbies a lot more, your personal sense of style a lot more, and just who you are as a personality. And another thing that I want to say here, if any of you do find yourself in the example of like you're in a friendship or relationship that doesn't resonate for you anymore, and you're confused as to what to do moving on, and you have that emotional confusion, when you leave friendships and relationships like that, I just want to say it almost always triggers this like personal awakening where you step back into yourself. I feel like oftentimes you lose yourself in these types of connections. You lose your time and your energy by frantically like trying to figure this person out, watching tarot readings on them, looking up their birth chart, looking up psychology, trying to figure their minds out, you know, trying to talk to them or get them to see things. Like it becomes a lifestyle, sort of pouring energy into this person or this thing, and then they're an energy vampire, essentially. They drain your energy away from you. And when you leave situations like that, there's like a reawakening of you being you. You know, you might start reading the books that you used to enjoy, but that you haven't touched in a while. You might start doing the hobbies that you used to do. And it's not that you consciously, intentionally stopped doing these things and stopped being yourself. It's just that you devoted so much of your life force energy to something or someone that was not giving it back and returning it, that you literally lose yourself in the process. And so I'm seeing a reawakening, reconnecting with yourself in that way, and doing the things that you used to love doing and that are a big part of who you are. We have the 8 of Pentacles, working hard, enjoying your routine. This has been coming out for a lot of people this month. I feel like a lot of us are really like pleased with just the productivity that we have in our lives and just moving things along beautifully. And then we have the Queen of Swords in reverse. Boundaries. And this can also represent being single. So like I said, some of you might be feeling guided to walk away from certain individuals. And it might feel really, really harsh for you to assert boundaries in your life, healthy boundaries and communication in your life. If you were always used to being this kind and gentle person who sort of always put other people first, Like, this can be very difficult to set boundaries, and you might not even want to hurt anybody or make them feel bad. I understand it. I get it. It might make you feel like this Queen of Swords reverse energy, which is just an absolute B word, you know? But you're not. You are not. Sagittarius. This can also represent a feminine person in your life who is a little bit too cutthroat. Like, very unfeeling, very cold, harsh with how they communicate. And you might be sick of it, okay? So keep your eye out for anybody like this. Anybody who's like really out of touch. And they don't have to be a woman, and they don't have to be an air sign. They could be. But this is anybody who's really out of touch with their emotions and emotional communication. I would just really be on the lookout for that. Or like the way they speak to people, it's just like mind-boggling sometimes, because it's like, what would possess you to like be so harsh with your words, and so cold, so detached, so uncaring about the emotional side of things. I don't know. It's beyond me. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Definitely watch for your sun, moon, rising, and Venus signs to get the fullest overview of your month ahead, because there's certainly more to it than just this. Like this video, comment how it resonated down below, and subscribe to the channel if you've not already. If you want a personal reading with me one-on-one, the link to that is always in the description box, spiritpsychic.org. I also offer my intention oils there and spiritual life coaching sessions there. If any of you would like to leave a donation to the channel, which goes back into the channel in things like editing software, filming equipment, tarot cards, you can do that. The information is in the description as well. Thank you. Bye.